You ever grow up hearing something about yourself so many times that it stops sounding like an opinion and starts feeling like a fact? Like it's just who you are, no questions asked? Now imagine that voice doesn't come from strangers, it comes from your own family. The people who are supposed to build you up instead quietly define you in a way that sticks to your identity for years. That's exactly where this story begins. And what happened at one family reunion completely flipped everything I thought I knew about myself. So let me take you back for a second. Growing up, I wasn't the pretty one. That title was already taken. My cousin had it. My sister had it. Even random distant relatives who showed up once a year somehow got labeled before I ever did. And me? I got the other label. The one nobody says directly to your face at first, but you feel it in every comparison, every joke, every backhanded compliment. You're the smart one. You've got a great personality. You're so unique. You start to decode those phrases pretty quickly. But sometimes it wasn't even subtle. Sometimes it was straight up said. Laughing like it was harmless, like it didn't land, like it didn't stick. The ugly one. I heard that more times than I can count. And when you hear something enough, especially as a kid, you don't argue with it. You absorb it. You build around it. You adjust your behavior to fit it. You don't try to stand out. You don't try to be seen. You don't expect attention, because somewhere deep down, you've already been told you don't deserve it. And here's the thing nobody talks about. That kind of label doesn't just affect how you see your face in the mirror. It changes how you move through life. It affects your posture, your confidence, your energy. It shapes the choices you make, the opportunities you go for or don't go for. For me, it pushed me inward. I focused on things I could control. School. Work. Later on, health and fitness. Not because I believed I could transform how I looked, but because it felt like the only area where effort actually meant something. Where results weren't based on someone else's opinion. I didn't start working out to look good. I started because I was tired of feeling weak. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I wanted control over something. Anything. So I committed. Quietly. No big announcements. No posting every step online. Just consistency. Early mornings, even when I didn't feel like it. Learning about nutrition. Not crash diets, but real understanding of how the body works. Fixing habits slowly instead of trying to flip my entire life overnight. And at first, nothing dramatic happened. No movie moment, no sudden glow up, just small changes. More energy, better posture, clearer thinking, a little more confidence when I walked into a room. But here's where it gets interesting. Even as I started changing, the label didn't. To my family, I was still the same person they had already defined. They weren't watching my daily effort. They weren't tracking my growth. They were remembering a version of me from years ago and sticking to it. And that's something you need to understand. People don't update their perception of you in real time. They hold on to old versions. Sometimes way longer than they should. So while I was evolving, they were replaying the past. Years went by like that. I built discipline. I built confidence. I built a routine that made me feel strong, stable, and grounded. Not perfect, not flawless, but different. And then came the family reunion. Now, if you've ever been to one of these, you already know the energy. People you haven't seen in years suddenly acting like they know your entire life. Conversations that circle around the same old topics. Comparisons, jokes, subtle judgments. I almost didn't go. Part of me didn't want to step back into that environment, into those labels, into that version of myself they still believed in. But something in me said, go anyway. So I did. I walked in, and right away I could feel it. The looks, the quick scans, the silent assessments. You know exactly what I mean. People trying to place you into the category they remember. Some recognized me, some didn't at first. But eventually, the old dynamic started creeping back. Same tone, same energy, same subtle comments. And for a moment, I felt that old version of myself trying to come back. That small voice saying, "Stay quiet, don't stand out, just get through this." But this time, something was different. I didn't shrink. I didn't avoid eye contact. I didn't play the role they expected, not aggressively, not in a way that needed attention. Just steady, present, grounded. And then something happened that I didn't expect at all. A stranger walked up to me. Not a family member. Not someone I knew, just someone who happened to be there, connected through someone else. They looked at me for a second and said, "I don't know who you are here, but you carry yourself differently." That caught me off guard. I didn't even know how to respond at first. They continued, "You look strong. Not just physically, but mentally. Like you've done the work." Now understand this. This wasn't about looks in the way I had been conditioned to think about them. This wasn't about being pretty or fitting into someone else's standard. This was about presence, energy, confidence. And for the first time, someone saw me without the filter of my past, without the label, without the comparison, just as I am now. And something clicked in that moment. All those years of being called the ugly one, they weren't truth. They were repetition. They were perspective. They were someone else's limited view, repeated so often that I started to believe it. But the work I had been doing, the discipline, the consistency, the focus on my health, my mindset, that created something real. Something observable. Something undeniable, not perfection, but strength. And here's the part that really changed everything. That interaction didn't just stay between me and that stranger. Other people noticed. The way I spoke, the way I moved, the way I didn't react to the usual comments. The energy shifted. Not dramatically, not like a movie scene where everyone suddenly apologizes, but subtly. Questions started changing. Conversations started changing. Instead of comparisons, there was curiosity. "What have you been doing? You seem different. You look good." And it wasn't about validation anymore. That's important, because if you're waiting for people who labeled you to suddenly approve of you, you're giving them too much control. The real shift happens when you don't need that approval anymore. When you've already built your identity through action, not opinion. That's what health and fitness gave me. Not just a physical transformation, but a mental one. It taught me that change is slow, but it's real. It taught me that consistency beats perception. It taught me that the way you see yourself will always matter more than the way others label you. And most importantly, it showed me that you can outgrow any identity that was forced onto you. So if you've ever been labeled something that doesn't feel right, whether it's lazy, weak, not attractive, not good enough, understand this. That label is not permanent. It's not fixed. It's not who you are. It's just what's been repeated. And repetition can be broken. But not by arguing. Not by trying to convince people. By doing the work. By showing up for yourself consistently, even when nobody notices. By building habits that reinforce a new identity. Because eventually, the results speak. And when they do, people have no choice but to adjust. Or stay stuck in the past. Either way, you move forward. That reunion didn't magically fix everything. My family didn't suddenly become different people overnight. But I did. And that's what mattered, because once you stop seeing yourself through their lens, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you show up in your own life. And that's something nobody can take from you. So if you're at the beginning of your journey right now, feeling underestimated, misunderstood, or stuck in a version of yourself that you've outgrown, keep going. Stay consistent. Build quietly if you have to. Because one day, just like that moment for me, something will shift. And you'll realize you were never what they called you. Not even close.